Hey guys, what's up? We are the Odd Set. I'm Haikal.
Wagwan, Maddie.
Hi, I'm Hafiz.
Yo, what's up? Today we have a guest, and that
Special guest, huh?
guest, special guest,
Hey.
our first guest, guys. This is pretty pretty big. So our guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm CJ, and I'm actually Haikal's wife, and we live here together
Oh.
in Sydney, Australia. I know, a really big shock for both of you too.
Oh.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome, CJ.
So is Haikal paying you for being part of this episode?
Oh no, I should have really negotiated that as part of this contract, huh?
Just send him the invoice. I
Yeah.
think it's fine.
Hey,
Get
pay
him to
you
do more house chores.
right,
Yeah.
right, every day.
You
I'm
sound
paying
so
you.
clear and you sound so good on in ear lah when we hear it, right?
Yeah.
Clear, right?
Versus
Maybe-
in real life? In real life, I'm grading.
Actually,
Maybe we should
actually,
just
yeah, actually true.
kick
You-
Haikal out and then
Yeah.
bring CJ a part of the group.
I think you should be the host. We should be the
I know,
guest.
but my
You
Malay
should be
is
the-
terrible. I can only understand a little bit.
I think
Y'all
his
probably
Malay
make
is
fun of
terrible.
me.
My Malay
Right?
ain't that great either. You know.
So
But
you guys are at level 1 and level 2 of your house right now.
that's right. That's
Yes.
right. We had some
Haikal speaks
hiccups.
too loudly, so we have to really
With
separate
the
us.
setup.
He's a loud guy. His actions
Yeah.
are also loud.
Naturally, just loud. But before we kick off this episode, we have a special announcement to make. We would
Yep.
like to actually congratulate our man here, Maddie.
Wagwan.
Wagwan.
Congrats.
There.
Congratulations on the newborn.
Check out his
Baby.
eye bag. Yeah.
Welcome to
the
fatherhood.
club.
There's
Welcome to the
coffee.
fatherhood, bro.
There's coffee in this. Anyway, thanks guys. But
Yeah, man.
nobody Hafiz should have prepared me better for this.
Nope. Yep.
You know what? I realized that people always say you're gonna lose sleep, and then I was fine with that because I don't sleep too much anyway. Then people are always be telling you like time passes by quickly and all that stuff, but nobody told me that I will be talking to myself a lot during this this fatherhood phase. I speak to myself quite a fair bit because like I'm trying to figure out, am I doing the right thing or not? My YouTube algorithm is messed up. I'm trying to figure out how to be a dad while watching YouTube. But it's been a new life-changing 2 weeks. I think I'm operating faster than I've ever operated before because I'm like
Amazing,
generally slow in everything. Now it's like I'm double time, missing football.
Yeah.
Well,
uh,
luckily
I
it's
think-
the international break.
Yeah. So it was a
Hey,
good
is there a
thing.
game this weekend? No, right?
There are
there a
games
game?
ongoing now, I think.
Ongoing now,
Oh,
man.
okay.
While we are recording.
I think that's just a short takeaway for everything. I think that's fatherhood lah. It's a, like you mentioned, it's a life-changing experience. Definitely is. I was never a morning or daytime person when I was before Kois, right? Kois is my elder kid. She's 9 now. So after Kois, my whole body clock like went
Haywire.
to it was haywire before, I think. So now I'm like a normal person who gets sleepy at 10, right? Like now as I'm talking to you, I'm actually sleepy. You see, like I'm always like eye bags are a permanent thing.
should-
So
We should try record in a day setting
Yeah.
once in a while.
fine, but I know the
everyone
kids
might be
running
sleepy
around.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just
I'm not going to function in the morning.
But
But so the wife is covering, right?
Yeah.
Or is
so
your baby beside you?
No, no, no.
No, okay.
So I
Maybe
have to tell
Saif will get a feature soon.
Adila
Yeah.
to take over the shift for a while,
Mm.
so I can
Mm.
continue on this lifestyle of
Amazing.
fame doing
Yeah.
podcasts.
Your your eyes koyak, man. My man.
But we are proud of you, bro. Alhamdulillah.
Thanks,
Definitely,
man.
definitely.
Thanks,
Alhamdulillah,
man.
everything went smoothly. We are very proud of
Yeah.
you, and keep doing what you're doing. I think we feel you're doing great. You have Hafiz, to ask for any help from. You have me, you have CJ. Even though we don't have kids ourselves yet, but inshallah soon.
Soon,
But
Mm.
inshallah.
I can't wait to welcome you guys so you guys can share a bit of
Yeah.
my
Are you
how
wishing
That's why
eye bags on me?
no, no,
I hope that's not the case.
it's gonna come.
it's gonna come.
But
like
it's one of those things like I always I told you before. There's no amount of reading or preparing, so to speak, that is gonna be enough. Your the one who's gonna teach you how to be a parent is your first kid,
mhm.
right?
Yep,
You learn it
that's me.
the hard way lah. I
Yep.
mean, hard is not the right word to use, but I think you get where I'm coming from. So
Yeah, it's something
I
new.
think we are very similar. You guys, you and Adila and myself and my wife, right, Koima, we did it on our own, right
Yeah.
from the get go when Kois was born up to this point. Now I have Kudra as well. So like 95% of the time we were on our own. So we had to learn it the hard way, like figuring out like,
Mm.
there were like mishaps with the diapers and stuff along the way, right? You mentioned the other day. So it's and I all I can say, despite the fatigue, enjoy yourself because it flashes by. Really, it really does. Six
Yeah.
months onwards, you will get more rest lah. That's all I can say.
Yep.
But before you know it, they are 9. The other one is turning 6. Right before
Yeah,
I
man.
feel that I was just carrying her, Kois. But
Yeah.
now she's 9.
Correct.
She's turning 10 next year. Like she has her own friends. Like she poses a lot in front of the mirror lately, man. Worryingly. Like when she wears, like when we go out, right? Just a sling bag, right? Like sling bag, she will like that. Then I'm like,
That's normal, I guess.
okay,
Or she's like
yeah.
copying, y'all when
Oh
you're
I mean
yeah.
around.
probably, but when you think back that it's hey, I was just carrying you like not long ago.
Mm.
You were always
Yeah.
like looking for me. Now you are doing everything on your own.
Mm.
It flashes by lah. So enjoy the ride, despite being tired all the time. Of course, you
Yeah.
cannot escape from that.
I'm at
So
a
yeah,
So
phase where I'm trying to see see the enjoyment
yeah. I mean,
where it's
when you are at this stage, you
overwhelmed.
cannot you cannot digest what I just said. You
Mhm.
will only realize it later, really.
Yeah.
Because when I was at your stage, people tell me, hold on, right? The fatigue is not going to last. It's going to be
yeah.
okay. It's going to get stable. But when you are in that phase, you like wish, hey, when is this going to be over, man? When do I
Yeah.
get to sleep like 8 hours? The
Mhm.
answer is never.
Ever?
I
Never
have,
ever?
I, I think
Never ever?
best
Ever?
bet like last decade, right? 9 years lah, 8 to 9 years. I think the best, if I can sleep for like 5.5 hours straight, deep sleep, to me that is an achievement. And I got
Mm.
used to it. Right at this
Yep.
stage, like 5 hours, okay, fine. I can last another day. So
Yep.
it is getting used to it lah. So yeah,
Yeah.
But with that being said, we're not trying to scare anybody. In case
yeah, definitely,
in
definitely.
case anybody
It's
is listening to it and like, oh my god, we should not do this. No lah, that's not what
no, no,
what
no.
we what
Don't,
we mean.
don't. Yeah, hopefully not, man.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's
nothing in life is perfect, right? So
yeah.
you'll always
yeah,
have, and
yeah.
it's good that you can chat through what's bad
Mhm.
about it. Otherwise,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
correct.
when people are going through it, they might feel very alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the
Honestly, yeah.
things that I think back is like how much our parents gave up what they wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
when they were raising us. Like when you become a parent, then you realize that, like, I'm sure they had their own dreams, They had goals. They had things they wanted to do, right? But they choose to have us, right? And they give up certain things. So I mean, it's a cycle, right? I'm not judging anyone or anything, but yeah, enjoy the ride, man. Really, we are here. We are always here, right?
Yeah, bro.
Not physically. I mean, I'm just 5 minutes away, but yeah, I can be
Then
physical.
CJ, take note. So if let's say we do need help, I guess everyone has to fly here. I guess.
5 minutes away.
I need everyone. I need the village for my
Yes,
confinement
man.
month at least.
Yeah, we are 5 minutes away from you guys booking a flight for us as well.
Yeah,
It takes 5 minutes as well.
yeah.
Enough for the new fatherhood thing. Like, you guys just came back from Bali, right? You guys were in Singapore
Ooh.
for Syed's
Santai di
wedding. And then
Bali.
you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
went to Bali. So how was Bali?
CJ.
It was really so we booked it because I wanted to have a creative recharge, especially after my work is very hard and I just wanted that reset. Unfortunately, halfway through I did get totally sick.
Oh,
I guess it was Bali belly.
Yeah.
To be honest, before I used to travel around Southeast Asia a lot, never got sick once. And this was the first time. So I don't know if it's because Bali's really developed quite a bit. There was so many more people in Canggu than there was 2 years ago when
Oh
we went
man,
back.
hectic.
So many more.
Hectic. Yeah.
So who knows what came out of all of that. I still enjoyed it though. I got to
Yeah, we
rest.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I
At
gives
least
got
you
you
got
great
energy.
time.
your break. Yeah.
Oh man, aku was just enjoying myself when CJ got sick.
You were
I
enjoying yourself
I was enjoying
Bro.
myself, like just chilling in the
right?
pool, bro.
While she
Just
was sick.
while she
I
was
was
sick.
asleep. I
I
knocked
took care.
myself out. Yeah,
I
he
took
did
care
Okay.
not.
of her
He did
first.
take care of me really well.
I did. I took care of her
Okay.
first, and then after that, I was like in my board shorts and swimming, listening to music. You know, it was good, and I think that's what I needed as well. Even though you guys know I haven't been working for a bit now, but I've been doing other things, especially with regards to me and CJ's life, like everything around the house. So it's been very nice, especially it wasn't that hot this time around in Bali. It was raining a bit, so the weather was a bit weird, but at the same time it wasn't as hot as it usually is, when we go and visit Bali. But yeah, man, it was pretty good. Canggu though, I think, man, I'll be honest, I was a bit upset. Uh, I told CJ we're never living in Canggu anymore. The place is nice, right? Canggu is a up and coming hip place, or it's already up and coming, or it's already up there, right? But like there's a lot of kids there now, right? And everywhere you go, it's so jammed up, right? The
Yeah.
roads are so small. Dude,
Yeah.
there's like guys, like there's this intersection that we have to take from the villa to go anywhere else we want to go. There's this one intersection, and this intersection is so bad that you get stuck on a bike, literally on a bike, and kau don't move.
Move. Yeah.
And it's like it's not peak period, it's like off peak period, and you're still in this jam, right? It's crazy, yeah, Canggu. Like I feel from what we've experienced before, where you go there, it's like wow, paddy fields, and like this is the place to go to recharge, or like to get away from Seminyak or from Legian or for Kuta. Now it's no longer that. There's no paddy fields. You don't, before we used to ride the bike, or we used to grab, and then you go through the paddy fields literally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of that now, right?
I think
So
that is what Bali is like. It was maybe 10 years ago when we went
yep,
there. It was like Kuta. Kuta was the place to be. And
yep,
then it moved up
Yeah.
to Legian and then Seminyak and then went
exactly.
to Canggu.
Yep.
So I guess like in time it will go back down, I guess. Then Canggu
So
will
it's
be more like that.
apparently it's going up. They're gonna like expand Bali even more.
Further.
So like further up north and stuff. So Canggu was good, but just very
Crowded.
hectic. I think I still prefer Seminyak. So I told CJ, next time we go, we are
Seminyak.
staying in Seminyak. It's
Yeah.
easier to get to anywhere. And there's not
Mhm.
many people now there in Seminyak,
Yeah.
And so
The
it's not,
I
crowd's
think
less.
the issue is Canggu's accessibility by road. I think there's
Mhm.
one way in, one way out, so to
that,
speak. Small road, right? So
that's
I
right.
think the last time I was there, I went to a water park somewhere uh, in one of the nearby the villas lah. That's Canggu.
Yeah.
So
Canggu.
even the
Fins near near
when we
near
were,
Fins, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
correct, Fins,
Yeah,
Fins,
yeah.
exactly at Fins. So I was there with my kids. We encountered a traffic jam as well when we wanted to leave. So the driver was saying this is the issue with Canggu. Everybody
Mhm.
thinks that it's like hip to be here, so now everyone's there,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So with that comes the traffic lah,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
So I think now even more lah.
Yeah.
Because
After you explain.
all the new clubs and the popular
Mm.
clubs are also now
In
in
Canggu.
Canggu. So I guess that's where everybody wants to be at the moment. That's where the
Yeah.
party is.
Party and yoga, all of
Ah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pilates.
Eat, pray,
Pedal,
love.
pedal
Yeah.
now, guys. Pedal.
Better.
There's a pedal
I
court
mean
now.
the thing about being
Right.
a tourist country is it's that lah.
Yep.
Right. So it's forever like developing into something else in a way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, man.
So you mentioned that CJ, as in now I have to say CJ. You mentioned that you travel a fair bit in Asia. So you met Haikal
Mm.
in Singapore, right? So what were you doing in Singapore at that point of time?
Yeah, my job was based in Singapore, and most of my work was through Southeast Asia, going to different countries. I'm a designer by trade, and we would do
Mm-hmm.
research in the different countries as well. And I met Haikal out one night when he was hyping.
Oh, a hype man,
Mm.
huh, bro?
Yeah,
Hype
he
man,
was
huh, bro?
hyping.
Were you
uh,
gawking at him when he was hyping or something like in front of the stage, like?
Not like
Or
that. Not like that. I had gone with a friend. Wanted to go to a hip hop club. There's not that many in Singapore as well, so we went to one. It's closed now. It was called Get Juiced, and
Oh,
yeah, I don't know if y'all remember that. And
Yeah.
anyways, I was
yeah.
there just listening to the music, and he was hyping, and I just liked his energy. And I was just like, I want to get this person's number afterwards just to see if
oh,
anything can
okay.
happen.
First
Um,
move, right? That's cool. I think
I
that's cool. He's
tried, but
blushing.
he
He's
was.
blushing. Look at him, man. Right.
But like I actually didn't even know she wanted. I actually
He was
like
so
kind of,
focused.
yeah.
And
Aku
the whole
actually
night I was
Mm.
ignored.
like, I was just like, screw this. I want to go home. I'm tired already. It's like way past my
Mm.
bedtime. So then finally, when he got off the stage, that's when we were able to talk. And the rest has been history since then.
Mm.
What are the odds? You're
Odds.
from the States. You ended up in
Yeah,
Singapore.
man.
You met this fella on a stage somewhere, and then now you guys are married and in Australia.
Yeah.
So
You
I,
guys.
how long were you in Singapore for?
I was there for 3 years. And to be honest, my parents were both in the military. So they've
Mm.
lived many different places across the world, even though I grew up in the US. So I guess it was just something that was in our nature and everything. Yeah, 3 years in Singapore and now 3 years in Australia. So it's been 6 years actually since I've left the US.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So the
good.
first country you came to after you left was Singapore, right?
Yeah, it was Singapore outside of
First job.
just going
Okay.
on vacations and traveling and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Man.
Like what do you think was the? I mean, my apart from Haikal, what would you
Of course.
say is the was the best things in Singapore? Like what were good?
Yeah, I really, I know y'all grew up there, but being there, I actually really loved being in Asia, the culture, all of the newness. I feel like I've always actually felt like I've never really fit in the US, or I felt like I belonged in a certain group. And when I lived in Singapore, actually, it's like that is the de facto. I'm not going to fit in there. I definitely stick out. And that is very freeing for me, actually. I was telling Haikal this when we were in Bali. I feel very, much more creative when I'm outside of my comfort zone. I just feel like I can do more. So in Singapore, I just felt like I could really accelerate not only in my creativity, also in my career. And that's what propelled me to where I am now in Australia as well.
That's great, man. I mean,
never Singapore would make you feel more creative. but it's an interesting thing to take note of. Where were you from in the States? Where's your hometown at?
My hometown is in North Carolina. I was actually, though, born on a military base in Panama. So my passport says country of birth, Panama.
Panama.
My actual citizenship is the U.S. So it's just been a continuation line since I've been born, of being a little bit of everywhere.
So do you have siblings in the who took after your parents and in the military?
No, actually,
or everyone did something else?
Everyone did something else.
Exactly.
Actually, that was my
Okay.
parents. My parents actually said, to me even, I was thinking about joining the military. I really wanted to be in the Air Force. I really wanted to be abroad as well. That was just something I had always been dreaming about. And my parents were very seriously telling me, I don't think you would like this. I don't think you would like the structure of this. Knowing you as our daughter, you're very stubborn. I don't think you're going to be able to handle taking like direct orders like this. And sometimes that was the tension we had growing up, is that I would tell my parents something that was happening in my career or something else, and they would say, well, just follow the chain of command. And I would get so frustrated because I'd be like, who cares who the chain of command is? It's not right. But no, my brother lives in North Carolina still. My parents are still there. And my brother actually works in somewhat similar to me, like in tech. He just works in mapping large areas, understanding like where to put basically like telephone poles, how to like map these out, and when you're like building infrastructure. Yeah. So he's in North Carolina still, but we have a lot of similar interests.
If I was to want to go to North Carolina, what is the one thing you would recommend me to go and see, or is there nothing there?
Jordan.
North Carolina, Jordan.
That is Michael Jordan's state.
Yeah.
You could
He
go
was
to a game
in the university team, right?
Yeah, University of North Carolina. You could go to the Charlotte Hornets, which he owns now, as
which
the
he
NBA
owns.
team.
There's still Charlotte Hornets.
He owns Charlotte Hornets. Yeah.
Is LaMelo Ball or something there? Some
do-
ball
LaMelo
brother
Ball
is there, right? Yeah.
I used to have a Charlotte Hornets backpack. Go to school.
Those things.
The teal, purple colored.
right.
Yeah,
The Hornet.
was.
Yeah.
Okay, so United States, since we are there, so
election, right?
This is
no one has talked to me about this at all since it's happened. I just want
so this
I'm
is
just
going to
kidding.
be exclusive that I think no other podcast in Singapore going to have this.
I can see the hype
tension
level. Tension is
No,
rising.
I'm sure y'all get this as well. When you're outside of your country and something happens in the news, suddenly you're the representative of your country. And I've been outside of it for 6 years, so I know stuff. I've also from following the news, and my parents and my brother and my friends that are there. I might have a very different perspective and opinion on it as well, but I will happily be the representative given the current news.
It's also interesting just for me to state this fact, because now I never really did take a whole lot of notice on this, right? Especially with things happening in the States. But because my wife is and my other family is from there, recently
you pay more attention.
Yeah, I pay more attention, right? And it's very interesting because I I learn a lot of things as well, and how it is so different from what system that I was or we are used to back in Singapore again. But it's really interesting. This is the reason why we decided to get CJ on this episode as our first guest. So yeah, man, let's kick this off. Let's
Yeah,
start.
Thank you
yeah.
for giving
I
me.
mean, you better show some interest, Haikal, because she needs someone to run. And you see the tension. I can see it on screen, man. Right? I can see it on screen. You see, it's
Thank you
coming.
for giving me an
It's
easy
coming.
episode to start with.
Yeah,
don't,
that's the thing.
don't worry, you'll be part of more episodes once we kick Haikal out.
Yeah, I
Take you.
All right, guys, this could
So,
probably be my last
so
episode. But anyway, yeah,
so the
let's.
question I want to ask, like just off the top before anything at all, what do you feel about Donald Trump winning?
uh, if I'm very honest, I'm actually not surprised he won. How I feel about it personally, I don't think it's good for the country, given
Okay.
his policies and what he might do. So I'm not having a good feeling about it. But that's our electoral process. That's the democracy. So I have to accept the results.
What can I ask? What were your your initial thoughts when you saw the election results? Like immediately, what do you what went across your mind?
Yeah, and we were in Bali, and I was checking it constantly
What a
to see what was
what
coming,
a
what was
bummer.
happening. Of course, I will always have hope, and I had quite a lot of hope that Kamala Harris would win, just because I typically actually vote for the Democratic Party and their candidates, just based on their platform, and that seems a better choice for me than the Republican Party at this stage. And as the results were coming in, I realized, oh no, it's actually not swaying in her favor. The way the system works and everything like that, we have the popular vote. We also have the Electoral College, which is like a representative vote. So as I'm looking at the results, I'm realizing the Electoral College is swaying towards Donald Trump, and the popular vote is swaying towards him, and that's showing where the country is going, or what they voted on. The other part too, like we're talking a lot about Trump, the other branches of government are also very all skewed towards the Republican Party, which Donald Trump is representing. So it's kind of like he won unopposed, and so many of the legislation that would go forward is, to me, feels like a shoe-in now. I don't think there's going to be much debate or blocking or anything like that. That's the pessimistic view. So it was really high. I was like, yay, the first woman president. I'm so excited. I would be thrilled to have that in America. And then it quickly went downhill from there.
So here is live take from me when I was there, when we were there. She was checking her phone constantly, right? And before that, of course, you're hopeful that the person that you actually voted for is gonna win, and it was, right. Or it wasn't, maybe, but it kind of was. And then were we at Nipsey Hustle Cafe?
I don't know. No, that was the day after.
That was the day after.
We were
Okay,
somewhere
but
else. We were at like a
we were
beautiful
talking
cafe.
about
Yeah.
and we were talking about going to Nipsey Hustle's Cafe, which, disclaimer, was
It's
nothing.
a whole.
It's
made
a whole
things
nother
worse.
thing.
Right?
Okay,
Made things worse.
not even playing Nipsey's songs. But anyway, yeah, she was worried, right? She was checking her phone. She was like, "God damn it, God damn it." Like, okay, well, relax, don't
God
worry.
damn it.
The day is still early. Things
Early,
might
right?
change. But yeah, man, you can see that it's a real thing, right? Like, it's really important who really goes into office, and you know and when everything came in, it was
Are we still here?
really quite emotional for CJ. So yeah, that was
I mean, in general, when you follow it, I used to read up and follow these things live. Like not this part, not this last round, but the one before that. I think after President Obama, I think. But after a while, I just lost interest lah. So over the years, I didn't. But in general, like you see on the life map, when you lose certain states, you know where it's headed towards, right? Am I right to say that?
Definitely.
Certain states, like key
There are
states,
certain
right?
states that are their battleground states. 'cause
Yeah.
they
So when
can
you see
swing either
that
way.
they won those states, yeah, even like at 70% of the count, that where it's headed towards. But I mean, to start off with, I need to ask the American, right?
Yeah, bro.
Was the
What is it?
so was the one see, like, was she a good opposing candidate to begin with? Was she a strong candidate to begin with? Because I didn't read up a lot leading up to the election, right? I used to, but not this round. So to you, like, was it a solid and strong candidate?
A strong candidate in terms of popularity, or a strong candidate in terms of like his policies?
Both ways,
Both ways. Okay.
right? Yeah.
He is strong in that he has a very loyal base of people who
Okay.
really like him, who will vote for him, and people who know that if they vote for him, they know certain policies will go into place. So, for example, people with a lot of money are very willing to vote for Donald Trump because they know their money will be protected. They won't have higher taxes. That's why
Okay.
Elon gets behind him, right?
Yeah.
So that's why he's
Yeah.
a strong
Yeah.
candidate, because a lot of people know his presidency before, probably what he'll do. And then he has quite a lively base that will follow him.
Okay.
But
So what
I
about
think
Kamala?
Hafiz was asking about
I mean,
Kamala.
both lah. We
Both
should
With
ask
both.
about both,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
To be
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
With Kamala, I think actually in the Democratic Party, it's been having this identity crisis since Obama, actually, in that
I think we sense that, right?
Yeah.
For even for we kind of sense that.
Yeah. So like, to back it up, it's a two-party system. There are actually more parties compared to other countries. That's not really how they work, right? There's lots of different parties you can vote for. Normally there's some majority, but here it's really like there are just the two parties. And actually, like, a long time ago, or like even when I remember growing up and seeing my parents, it almost used to feel like four, because there were conservative Republicans and liberal Republicans. There were conservative Democrats and
Okay.
liberal Democrats. So you kind of had a split where people were willing to work together based on like what they believed in and what their values were. And it just happened to be between these two parties. Now the Democratic Party is kind of like, is meant to represent the working man. It was meant to represent minorities, especially, and their rights. And now it's completely fractured because Kamala is like in the center, probably like more leaning towards conservative. But there's a huge part that's liberal, very, very liberal, that sees her as like, this is not a good candidate. So the party is really fractured in that way, because the very liberal side is kind of alienating for the rest of America, even though that's not very liberal compared to like Europe, even Australia. Like, that would still be considered in the center. So it's always been kind of an issue. I don't think she was set up for success, right? Because Biden was running and then immediately like dropped out. And if she had been running from the start, maybe it would have been slightly different. I don't know if it would have been, though, given what they're finding out now, which is a lot of people started voting around America towards the Republican Party, towards the right, because they feel like either they're heard more. I think the biggest issue is that people feel like the way the country works and the government works doesn't help them as citizens. And Kamala kind of represents somebody who has been in the system for years. Like, she is a dedicated public servant. So for me, I was like, at least this person knows how government works. I'd be happy for them to
Yeah.
run. But a lot of people feel like if the government doesn't work and it doesn't represent them, I'm going to go towards Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is saying, screw all of this, screw the government, let's just do what we want. And that feels more reassuring for them.
So it's like a hard reset in a way for like people who think that things are not working out, right? Instead of someone who is part of the current
Setup.
current setup, right?
Yeah,
But it feels
definitely.
like I mean, it feels like a rush candidacy too at some point, right? Usually the build up take years that you know that okay, most likely this person is the one that they're gonna push, right? But
Yeah, you'll
I
know
think
like
her
2 years
name,
ahead,
yeah.
normally.
So
Yeah.
like her name came up like quite late, I think, right? Is it fair to say that?
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
was Biden first, and then
Yeah.
he dropped out,
yeah,
and
He
then
dropped
she
out.
she took
I mean
over.
he has health issues and stuff, I think,
Mm.
right?
He
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
for
a
sure.
issue in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I got a
TJ can
question.
explain.
I got a
Yeah.
question. How much of this do you think is down to America's unwillingness to have a female president? I think back then it was Hillary Clinton and
Yeah,
Trump,
Hillary.
and then you would bet that Trump would never win, and he won. And then now you have another female candidate in Kamala Harris, and then you looking at it, Trump can't win again, right? Like, and then he wins again. So, is this down to, and Kamala is also not like white. So, do you think these things are uh, are reasons as to why she did not win?
I definitely think so. It's two factors, right? Like you said, it's the fact
Mm-hmm.
that she's a woman, and it's the fact that she's mixed race, but she's often
Yeah.
represented in the U.S. as being black. And I think
Mm-hmm.
both of those things don't work towards her. Like, if you look at the exit polls, which aren't totally accurate, it's just trying to be representative. A lot of women voted for Trump, even after he's been
Oh, okay.
very
Huh? For real?
blatantly, yeah, like for white women.
Even
I was
some celebrities, right?
even
Yeah,
some
openly.
celebrities like
Yeah,
openly saying
openly.
it.
Yeah.
White women, the last poll I looked at was like 56% had voted for Trump
Oh, okay.
after saying, you know, uh, banning like lots of women's health stuff, having
Yeah.
like very strong views about what women should and shouldn't do. And so you would think that, if we exclude race, which is very hard for Americans, if we exclude
Mm-hmm.
race as a woman, I would think like, let me vote for a woman. I want to see that for my daughter's future or my future as well. And that's just not the case. Like, a lot of people still have internal things where they're like, I just can't imagine our president, being a woman, which is crazy because there's PMs across the world, prime ministers across the world that are women. I think
Yeah.
in Singapore
Yeah.
too, the president was a woman or is a woman.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not unheard of in the
Halima.
world. In America, though, quite hard.
It shouldn't be something that stands in the way if you believe that the person can lead, right? Yeah, I think.
But I think a lot of it will be
Mm,
ego, like, like US is always being termed as the strongest nation in the world, and then for them to see uh, women as the president, that means this is the top person in the so-called strongest nation in the world, and then it's a woman. I think doesn't sit right with a lot of people. I think, like, it's amazing to know that women would still vote for Trump, given that whatever you've shared, and then
Mm.
there are stories about him, like, saying quite harassing things to women,
Mm.
and yet if they still want to vote for him, it just shows like there are deeper issues, like
Mm.
like to them they feel like, oh, let's still vote for the white guy, or let's not vote for the female, right?
I mean, just to share a little bit, like a few weeks ago, I think I told CJ, like, man, if Hillary couldn't beat Trump, and she's white. Someone who is actually also popular because of who her husband was. How is Kamala Harris going to win, right? And also to touch on the fact that so many white women also voted for Trump. I don't know if I told you guys this story, but when I was in Singapore, I took a Grab ride, and my driver was a lady, like auntie, just auntie lady, and she supported Trump. She's a Trump supporter. She's like, oh my god, what do you think of Trump? Yeah, men, it's okay one they sure will do that to women. What men? What normal? What
What?
auntie say like that? Yeah. So can you imagine,
What?
like, if an Asian lady is saying that, like, it shows
Yeah.
actually how much of a popular figure Trump is, and
Trump is.
he's like around the world, and I think it's just I think it's sad, but the things that he do is not right, but he it's just how it is, and I like I said to CJ, like, man, Hillary can't win. Like, how is Kamala Harris gonna win, man? Like, somehow she's not of this, she's not white, she's black,
Yeah.
and she's female, and the views on having a female, like what you say, Ahmad, like there's definitely a deeper issue there, and I think it's something that a lot of people are still not ready to address and like to overcome, so
Yeah, like it seems like it feels like a show of sorts to me. Like US, the elections was like a reality program. Like when you watch them doing their debate, it's like watching something, like it's part of a scripted show or something. They are like talking. They are not even answering the question. They are just putting forward their own points. I watched like an hour of one of the debate, and I was like, they're not answering anything. Both of them are speaking as per whatever they want to say. They don't care. So this is a shit show lah. So with Trump as president, would you want to go back to the States, CJ?
I mean, in general, do you ever plan to go back and work in the States as well, right? And with this added notion, too. There you go.
Yeah.
All yours. All yours.
The States are always very, like, my friends are there, my family are there. And for my career, I could actually, that's just because of the US dollar and everything, I could earn quite a lot more. I don't think I would ever go back, though.
All right.
I've been back multiple times, of course, to see family, to be there for work. And every time I'm there, I miss it and I don't miss it. I like see the issues now that I've been outside, and it's just hard to reconcile sometimes. I would get over it though, like depending on where you live. You can kind of be in a haven if you're in a big city like San Francisco or LA or New York. It really is its own country in some ways. You're not really in tune with the rest of the US. With the Trump presidency now, I just don't see that going back would be better. I think a lot of stuff will maybe get worse in the country. He's made it pretty clear he wants to dismantle a lot of things that keep the country going, like our environmental protection agency, these kind of things that will help us in the long run. So I can't see going back. When we visited the US, though, Haikal had a very interesting experience, and every time I ask him, like, would you want to move there, he always gives a resounding no.
yeah, man.
I think like even for myself, I think like the idea of wanting to go to the States, the appeal is no longer there. When I was younger, right? I always was like, oh, I want to go see New York, I want to go see LA, and then like, I mean, people know that we like hip hop music, we do rap music and all that. So like New York or the States in general was always going to be like, that's the dream. I want to go there and see what's up and all that. But as I got older, I realized like the appeal is no longer there. I'm no longer interested in like going to the States unless like we as a whole we decide that, oh, let's go as a holiday. Someone suggests, I'll probably be on board with it. But like I no longer willingly would want to go to the States. I just don't find the appeal. And what makes it worse is the president and then like some of the policies. I feel like the US has lost its appeal.
Mm.
Yeah,
I
I've always
I mean,
wanted to go to New York when I was younger too.
mm, mm,
I mean, again, hip hop music being the main influence here, right? So to me, it was always like a side note. It was always New York over LA, based on what you see on screens mostly. But again, I share your point of view. Is I can like totally skip it, like the
Mhm.
states, and I'm fine with it if I don't ever land there, right? So yeah, Haikal, you were saying?
so yeah, like to touch on CJ saying, like why I say no, it's gonna be hard now for me or for us to go back there, for me as well. Like
Yeah,
how am I gonna be
I mean
accepted
to
there?
start up
That's
something on your own,
Yeah,
like
how that's one.
yeah.
Exactly, that's one, right? Like I mean, no doubt, like my in-laws are amazing.
Mm.
I always tell CJ, mom and dad, I think if we move back there, we will be supported, and like macam we'll be protected. I get it, like, but like I can't, aku can't fathom the idea that macam like I can't look at it and like, oh wow, aku gonna like, yeah, we're gonna move to the States and we're gonna have a family there, because in
Mm.
at the back of my mind, or probably the whole of my mind, aku am thinking about the safety of my whole family, right? And maybe because
Yeah.
CJ is more used to that, right? But I'm used to going out at 3 a.m. and go to 7-Eleven and nobody
Yeah.
would do shit to me, right? So that mind or that thinking that I have, because we visited the States, right? I mean, I think I told you guys about this before. um the safe the that safety issue was weird, because like, y- you don't want to be like 110% every time you walk on the street, right? Cause like have to
Yeah.
look around, and here's the funny thing, right?
Mm.
We were in two different states, right? One state there was gun laws, and the other state there was no gun laws, right? um when you go to that other state that didn't have gun laws, or their gun laws was a bit different, you don't see that place as rabak. Like, everything is so nice, it's so
Mhm.
picture perfect. People drive big cars, wealthy cars, but then you see guns on their hips and on
Mm.
their shoulders, and you're like, eh, like what the hell is happening here? There's no broken windows, there's nothing, and you're just like, in my mind, I was just very confused. Like, there's kids around, and then you have guns openly like that, and aku macam, I can't see that for our family, because
Yeah.
I think if I was there, I think if we had kids, or we set up a family there and we had everything set up, aku would feel worry all the time, right? Kids
Mhm.
have to
Mm.
learn
Mm.
gun drills at
Naturally,
school,
yeah. Naturally,
and
right?
that's something a bit scary for me. I mean, I especially, I don't know, maybe it's just something, maybe I have experiences with firearms and stuff like that, but yeah, I just can't, aku just can't see it. I don't want that for CJ and myself, even though maybe she's used to it. Maybe CJ, you're used to
Yeah,
it.
I think it's kind of funny because I didn't realize how messed up it was to be used to it
Mhm.
until
Mm.
I had left. And I'm also saying, like, my parents are in the military. We had guns in my house growing up. They
Mm,
were
Oh.
handled with a lot of care
yeah.
and
Mhm.
seriousness. Always in a safe. Like, if they ever came out, it was, I like, a Christmas thing I would do with my dad is go to the gun range, but I
Mm.
would only handle certain ones, and it was just for fun, for shooting, not that I would ever feel like I needed to have one on me. And
Mhm.
what's so interesting, being in the States and then you come out of it, you don't realize how numb you are to the violence. Like, school shootings would happen, and I would just think, okay, like, it's another one and
Just
nothing's
another
going to
one.
change.
Yeah, just another one.
And I had to do gun drills at school. And part of my life when I was going through existential crisis and thinking about switching my career, I was training to be a teacher. And there are kids who are in first grade, primary one, and we're having to teach them what to do if someone with a gun comes into the school and how to act during that. It's at that
Oh,
time,
that's
I didn't
messed
think
up, man.
anything about it. Being outside though now, and especially in Australia, they're so strict. There was one shooting in Port Arthur, and they said, "No, we're not going to handle this. This is intolerant. Our nation will not handle this. Give up all your guns unless you live on a farm or something, and you have to, deal with wild animals. Other than that, there's no reason to have a gun." I
And it
can't
worked.
ever see
And it
that
worked.
happen in my lifetime in America. I
Why
never
i-
see that.
why is it why do you think that this problem cannot be eradicated in the US? You look at it, it happens all the time, right? But then no president candidate comes out and says all right, man, we're gonna put a stop to the gun. What is holding America back from passing some sort, or I
Oof.
do understand, the need for it to a certain extent, but it is out of control. School shootings happen all the time, and then every time you look at gun crime, it's the states. What do you think is the main reason for guns not being controlled in the states, or no people do not want it to be controlled, right? The way it seems like
So
people,
different states, different
Different
laws,
gun
right?
laws. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
So what's
very
the
different.
reason?
It's because having a gun is so closely tied to the American Constitution, or the interpretation of it.
Okay.
So when the Constitution was written, it was about the Second Amendment says citizens have the right to bear arms. That was written in response to when America was a colony and the King of England was trying to control it. They would control it with weapons, and you couldn't have certain things, so therefore you couldn't defend yourself as a colonist. You couldn't rise up against the government. So they made specific provisions around that. To this day, though, that's interpreted as every citizen has the right to have a gun in case something happens with the government and they need to defend themselves, or anything like that. So it's seen as a personal freedom, and I don't think people would be against hey, let's regulate this. It really should only be in the hands of people who have been through training, or can mentally handle a gun, and they should have one. Just in all of these states, there's so many loopholes and so much money that flows for people to have access to these things. So even if you try to say, hey, we should regulate this, there's been another school shooting, immediately lobbyists, money, cries of you're taking away my freedom come out of that. America is a very individualistic country. It is really about looking out for yourself and your immediate family. It is very hard and rare for people to think, and I'm generalizing here, it is very hard for people to think about the community that surrounds them and how that affects. And that's just our values to have your own American dream, do right by yourself. And if you do right, then that'll help the community, but not thinking very holistically. That's why healthcare is not where it should be if we're such an advanced country, right? Even parental leave, you're on parental leave right now, Maddie. The standard I know in the US is 2 weeks. You would be back at work.
For both moms and dads?
Yes.
Even for
really?
moms?
Unless your company or whoever you work for says you can have longer and it's paid. It's
So
the
standard is just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a short ass time, man. I'm probably back in work.
Even for the mom.
Even for the mom.
Yeah, that's right.
Work your ass off, guys.
I mean, I
Right?
understand from if it's for the dad, right? For the husband, maybe 2 weeks. It's a little short, but it's still 2 weeks but the mom is recovering, no? Right?
I think though it's like not seeing what parents need in that community
Yeah.
and taking care, right? It's like it's quite rare. Normally, like better companies will have much longer. But even to have like leave for a month would be seen as wow, that's quite long.
Oh,
Generally,
okay. So it's just the culture, the working culture is such.
yeah, the working culture is such, and then there's not a lot of laws to protect that unless your state has it or your city has it,
Oh,
and that it's
okay.
so varied. It's not like at a national level um, that you're protected in that way.
Yeah. But that's the sad thing, right? Like honestly, if you ask me, oh, Carl, like do you like going to the States? Honestly, I love LA. Like LA, I think CJ knows so much. I had a lot of fun in LA. Not partying, just like going out, visit, like
Hmm.
walking around the shop. It was so beautiful. Even though yes, there are things that are not so great in LA, but generally for me, LA was good. I love where her grandma is staying, which is in Spokane, Washington State. That also I love that. I told CJ like, oh my god, like I would be sitting on the porch, like macam kau tengok in movies, sitting on the
Mm.
porch drinking my coffee, probably smoking a cigar or whatever, and I could imagine myself doing that. But
High
then,
class, huh?
bro, but that's it. That's and then I was sitting there literally at her grandma's house, and then a police car was like chasing another car right in front of her grandma's street, right? And then I'm like,
It's like a very
yo,
quiet area. Yeah.
I'm like, yo,
Ah.
like, okay, this is happening, right? And Aku was there, sitting there, and I was like, whoa, what if that guy decided to like take out his gun or whatever and
Mm-hmm.
just like starts
Yeah.
blazing his ass off, and like, so that's the thing that was always on my mind, So yeah, man.
I think that is one thing that when we are on this side of the things, like maybe we take it for granted,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like we would never ever. I mean, there's a 0.0001 chance, but we would never ever have to worry about going out and then getting shot at, right? But in the States, I was hanging out with Shahid yesterday, and then we was watching the new Rhythm and Flow, and then
Mm.
every contestant, when some contestant came up, almost all of them had a sob story. I don't know whether it's meant for TV or whatsoever, but the stories will always be, my brother died because he got shot. Like
Hmm.
my father died because he got shot.
Mm.
It, it it's just such a common theme that like what CJ mentioned, when you are out of the States and you look at, and then you think that's kind of twisted. It keeps happening all the time, right? Like people keep dying over this gun violence again.
It's a
Yeah.
daily thing lah. It seems like to the point you get desensitized, lah, right? You are so used to it that okay. Although that's
Yeah.
messed up on its own, right? For you to like, okay, where? That is the question you ask. Like, you're not
Yeah,
even like, imagine it happened here, right?
it'll be
People would it'll be on the news for like the next month or so, every single day,
Every
can?
single day.
For example, yeah.
It was very
like
weird moving because I was always used to walking around the cities. I always
Hmm.
had pepper spray, and I actually had a knife
Oh,
on me
okay.
just in case.
You need the
When I
pepper
oh
spray for
shit.
Haikal still, bro. Maybe. Not the knife.
Spray,
well,
Not
well,
the
just
knife.
spray
Yeah.
me off this podcast, lah, I guess.
so when I moved to Singapore, I knew I didn't have to worry about this, like just of what
Yeah.
I knew of the country and everything like that. When we moved to Australia, I realized, oh, I might be walking around in the city at night. Maybe I should have that too. And I was talking to my colleagues, and told me it's illegal for you to carry a knife because that shows you have intent. Like, why would you need that? Why would you want those things? I was like, oh, I'm not even. I didn't even realize that's a weird thing to want to
Yeah.
have and carry
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. It's 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 crazy because honestly, I still have hope. Aku still have hope because maybe not now. maybe not with the current setup and who was elected in this
Mm-hmm.
current election. But I've hope because like I got to know my wife. We were just talking about it, and we've known each other for 5 years, right? And she's amazing. Like I believe there are many other Americans out there who are amazing as well. I've met my in-laws, I met my
Mm.
Yeah.
brother-in-law, and they're all amazing. And I'm hoping the country can be that as well, because people used to say, right, the land of opportunity, right, like the
Mm-hmm.
states, right?
The
And
American dream.
yeah, I see it, and I've seen it, right? I could nampak, and I went to a few places, and I see that, wow, there is a really huge potential. But hopefully in the future, when someone else is there, is at that throne, maybe, I still have hopes, inshallah one day. I also, at the end of the day, I also believe ajal, tangan Allah. So if anything were to happen, if it's my time, it's my time. But also, if if it was someone else there, maybe we might consider moving back to the States. But as of right now, yeah lah, it
Mm.
is what it is.
Not in the near future, at least lah.
It's
Yeah.
funny you're more optimistic than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you should
I
move.
feel
guys, I guys, LA was great. Okay, we went to Seattle, LA, and then we went to Washington. We went to Spokane, right, baby? Right?
Mm.
Um, Seattle, it felt like I was back in Singapore, right? It's just a really like a cosmopolitan city. Like, it's really like a city. LA though, I I was amazed at everything, right? I would look at the shops, and I would look at the streets, and I would look at the houses. I was like, yo, this tempat ni is like legit, right? Yeah, it's
Mm.
probably a rich place, or a rich state to live in, or expensive state to live in, but everything was beautiful, right? And then we went to Spokane. It was much more, macam a bit more like countryside a bit, but I still loved it. I was like, wow, this is great. Everything was massive. Like, you drive past the big fields, you drive past the mountains, and take it that, over here we drive past mountains as well, but it was so majestic, right there. Aku really like my time, or where we were at in the States. And of course, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law kept explaining and telling me how life is like there. My father-in-law
Mm-hmm.
drove past beautiful places.
Mm.
It was because of that also. But it, I took it in, and I was like, wow, I can see it. This is something that I'm not used to, because being in
Mm-hmm.
Singapore, we're so small. But it was great. But then, when you think about all the other things, yeah lah, it would take some time for us to, I guess,
I think
really.
that's where the optimism stems from, is because you went there as a tourist
Yep, definitely.
and you
Definitely.
see the nice things.
Yep.
And of
Mm.
course, like, nobody's going to bring you like, oh, come and look at my ghetto, right? People are going to.
Well, I do have a story about that, Maddie. When we were in
Did you bring him to?
Seattle,
Did you bring him
no,
to the ghetto?
it wasn't even. We were outside our hotel in Seattle just
Oh
because,
my god.
like, we were all staying there. And across from the hotel is the Seattle Times. So that's the newspaper, and it runs through there. So the offices are like 24/7. And we're just sitting outside. We went to the Asian grocery. We got like a drink, like a little pear drink. And we were just like sitting down and like just relaxing. The weather was nice. And then I look over and I notice there's bullet holes through all of the wall and glass
At the
Huh?
hotel
out
that we
at the
were
Jesus
staying
Christ.
in.
hotel.
And that was the day we checked in, tau, in the day.
Shit.
Hmm.
I shouldn't be laughing, but
No,
shit.
Yeah.
we saw it and we were I was in a little disbelief. And so then I looked it up on the news, local news, and either I can't remember, it was the night before or like literally that day someone had drove by and just was like shooting up because the
Someone
newspaper
was
was
in
there.
someone was in a Toyota Prius or something like that. Young, is every cab
Uh,
driver. Apparently, he decided to, like, I'm gonna just
did
roll
a
down my
drive
window.
by.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll down
Drive
my
by.
window and shoot this newspaper agency, which was across the hotel that we were living or we staying at. And then he sprayed the hotel as well. And like, like, what the hell? And
That's
kita kat
personal,
depan,
man.
kita kat depan tu cermin minum air pear. Aku dengan CJ tengah duduk.
Did the news print out something
Probably.
negative about
Maybe,
someone
or
to get
maybe
shot at or what?
he didn't win the crossword puzzle of the week. Maybe. I wouldn't know. We
It's
shouldn't be
like
laughing at this, man.
But that's
We
what
are messed
you
up
have to
now.
have humor about it.
Yeah, now I'm messed up.
what is 5 down and then fuck.
Aduh. So
But
when we
but
were,
yeah, I mean it's like it's weird that it's a norm, but it is a norm, right? Over there,
Mhm.
that we find it like something like out of the ordinary. Like, imagine we see one bullet hole on the wall, one,
Mm.
right?
mm,
Ah, so yeah, that's crazy, man.
I mean, apologize. I want to apologize to my parents-in-law. I love you still. You know, you guys are great.
You
I'm not
better,
trying.
man.
I'm not dissing the states. You know, I still love your daughter a lot.
they
So
want to get out. They want to get out too.
Come to
So
Australia.
You guys should
Mom
bring
and
them
dad.
over, man.
Yeah,
Do
mom and dad.
when you
Come to
mentioned they
Australia.
want to get out of North Carolina or out of the states totally?
I think out of North Carolina would be the first step. I think as they're thinking
Okay.
through their retirement, they're like, should we live somewhere else? Different countries do like retirement visas, and so they're
Oh,
thinking
okay.
like, would we do that instead, so our life
Yeah.
is more comfortable?
You mentioned they were in the military, right? Like, just a quick question, like, do they have like a lot of benefits post like retirement? Like, like we used to have like pension scheme
Yeah.
for people. So do
Yeah.
they do have benefits?
Yeah, in the military, depending on how long you served as well, you typically get like a pension, even you get healthcare throughout, like government issued one. So you do get benefits from that. I don't know if those benefits outweigh some of the stuff that you go through. Like
Yeah.
my parents were airborne. They jumped out of planes.
Oh,
Their
okay.
hips and their knees are really
Yeah.
messed up even
Yeah.
afterwards because of that,
Yeah.
Oh,
like when you
man.
hit the ground. So that's a mild one compared to what some people go through when they
Yeah.
go overseas. So it always has like a balance.
Yeah. So it
that.
was a sacrifice to a certain extent too, like what they spend their lives on, right? So the healthcare, naturally the healthcare should be there.
Yeah.
If the healthcare is not there,
Should.
I don't think anybody would even join.
Yep.
Kan?
It should.
Some
Right? My father-in-law
perks.
just had his hip replaced. Going for another one, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
going
then.
for another
Yeah,
one
see?
too.
So like,
Okay,
Speedy recovery to your
speedy
father-in-law.
recovery, uncle. Yeah,
Terus
speedy
ramai-ramai
recovery.
ramai-ramai salute.
Not even sure he's gonna listen to this, but yeah. Hi, yeah.
He's probably wondering who the hell are
Right
these guys?
from across, we are from across the world.
but my CJ's mom did text me like, oh my god, you gotta tell me about your brothers. Like, tell me like who they are. And so I think definitely she's listening and supporting us as well from the States. That's why when we check our, or when I check
Hello,
our,
auntie.
where our listeners are from, there are people from the States listening to us. So I mean,
So,
you
you
know,
mean okay? There are so
you know,
of
US
course
market.
the
US
people from
market.
the people from the States. We love you guys.
We
It's just
Yeah.
America. We have nothing against you. Of course,
Oh
like
my God.
as with every other episode, when we speak about something, when we highlight certain issues, it does not mean like we do not think there's nothing good about that particular issue, right? Like we
Yeah,
spoke about maybe local football previously. There are the good things, but we talk about the things that concerns us, or it's just like something worth highlighting.
yeah.
So CJ, if there's one thing about the states, if okay, now making you president of the United States,
Woo!
you if there's one particular thing that you would do or a policy, what would it be?
I could see that.
Oh, I think there's two things. The first
All
thing
right.
would definitely be universal healthcare.
Mhm.
It's so insanely expensive to just have proper healthcare in the US.
Mm.
And that causes a lot of issues for lots of people, like children, all the way up to when you're older. I think that would help everyone, not only with like the issues that we have in the country, but also just our moods, our sense of community that, like I was talking about earlier. I think that would be incredibly beneficial. I remember in Singapore, I had gotten a hairline fracture on my foot, and I had gone to the hospital, and because of my job and everything, I don't have like insurance or anything, and I have to go private because I don't get benefits, right? I'm not PR, I'm not a citizen. And overall, the whole thing, like getting my cast, all the x-rays, was $1,000 in Singapore. And I remember when it was happening, I was almost about to have a panic attack because I thought in my head what that would cost in the US is at least $80,000 to $100,000.
My what?
And I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't have. I was like freaking out the whole time. And the doctor was like, your blood pressure is so high. Are you okay? I was like, I'm in the hospital. Like, how am I going to pay for this? So having that, and that was private. Also being in Australia, we pay for insurance. We don't get Medicare. The government pays us back though for that. The fact that we're not using Medicare, like everything is quite cheap, even though people complain it's expensive to me because of what I was used to in the US. So that would be the
in
first
comparison.
thing. Yeah. The second
Policy number 2.
Policy number 2. This is where maybe I'm a bit more radical, is that I do think we should have a universal basic income level, a set of income that everyone
Minimum
gets.
wage, right? Is it
Not
minimum
even
wage?
just minimum wage. It's like every month you get X amount of money from the government. So
so like
use
an
that
allowance.
yeah, and you can use that for anything. But I think it would help. There's such a disparity in the US between people who really do not have a lot and people have way too much. And I think that would actually help a lot of the divides that people feel, or that feeling like the government doesn't do anything for us. If you look at other countries, like, yes, they have much higher taxes. I'm thinking like in Europe and Scandinavia, the tax rate is like 40% of your salary, 50%. But the benefits of that are your university is free, your schooling is free, you have public transportation, so you can get pretty much anywhere, and your healthcare is free. And so naturally, there's less for you to worry about. Of course, we'll always have worries in the world. A lot of your basic things are taken care of. So I think to help the US, healthcare and a basic income would go a long way. There's a third bigger thing, which I don't know how to solve. I don't have a policy, which is dealing with the racism in our country. And a lot of what happens right now is people just want to move on. They're like, that was in the past. Let's just move on, and not really acknowledging the issue. I don't know what would solve that though. I don't know how we could solve
Policy
that.
3 sounds very, very hard and deep.
Looks like we will have to bring you on again to discuss more on policy. I mean, what do we mean by bring you on? We would have to bring Haikal on since he's the guest moving forward.
I'm not a guest, guys.
But I think when you mention like racism, it is not just there, right? Like I
It's
believe
everywhere, kan?
even here, I think it is not so outright, not so brazen, but subtle.
It is there, right?
Subtle racism
Yeah.
all the time. So we should talk about it someday.
Oh,
Right.
definitely we should.
So you have good policies. So first, let me salute to you. Second, if you were to become the president of the United States, then that's when maybe I will reconsider.
Okay.
go.
So
go
I
and
will
then-
support you all the way.
And then finally, Haikal can get back his iPad from Hawaii.
Yes.
Finally.
My
Okay, that is
iPad,
another
guys.
story.
That
Did
is
we talk about it? No, yeah.
no. That is
But but I hope
Okay.
I hope like someday it gets better. I think it'd be nice. Like you've came over to Singapore, and then we not sort of we brought you out or anything, but you've seen the things that we go through. I think it'd be quite cool for us one day to go to where you were born, and
Mm.
just take a look. I hope someday we are able to do that, just to
yeah, man. Together as
see
well.
what's.
Yeah, that would be great.
I think it wouldn't be so boring, especially if like we have a host which is you, and then you can show you can show us
Probably the
like
host
what's
of this
good.
podcast as well. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't be shy lah. If you guys want to buy for us the flight or what lah, I'm just
yeah.
saying don't be shy. Yeah,
it is
no
a
We,
problem
long
lah, no
ass
problem.
flight though. It is a long
It's
ass
like
flight.
24 hours to get
And
to my
and if we
hometown.
and
Mm.
let's try to avoid Honolulu. Sorry, Hawaii. Not a great experience for me.
Hawaii was my dream destination at one point.
right. I
Yeah,
also
one
used
point.
to. I
Mm.
Right,
also was
wanted
like,
to go there.
But
I still
anyway,
do lah, actually, in a way.
we will keep that story for another time. And yeah,
Yeah.
we because I Hafiz, you going somewhere also, right?
I am tomorrow night.
Hafiz,
Yeah. So please pray
Japan.
for me for a safe trip for with my kids. Going back to Japan with my wife and my kids.
Yeah, man.
Next
Uh,
year with the rest of the crew, inshallah.
Hokkaido milk
So,
toast.
Hokkaido
yep,
Miltos. We're still waiting.
gonna debunk
But
the myth.
any more questions for CJ, guys, before we
Uh,
wrap this up? Any
yeah,
more?
to wrap this up, I think we always enjoy talking to you, CJ. Like it's a very different perspective to what we are used to, right? And
Mm.
the first time
Mhm.
I met you, it was last year Tokyo, right? I met you in person, right? It
Yeah, I
was
Before
think
last
so.
year.
No, or
Yeah, I
was it
think for
before
me, for
then?
me.
Okay.
before
Yeah,
that
that.
apa? Yang aku datang
No, I
Uh,
no,
think
wait.
Hafiz met you first last year at the
yeah,
airport.
yeah,
Yeah.
Airport.
Oh,
first.
yeah.
So we really like got to talking in Japan itself. So I think I always enjoy conversations with you because it's a different take on things. Because I remember us being at the dining table with my younger kid Kudra. So then I told her American parenting, Asian parenting. I remember that. She's like, "Are sit down." Then she said, "No, just put your butt on the chair so we can have dinner." And Kudra actually listened to her.
This
Right.
Instead,
I will always remember that. So yeah,
instead
I
of
always
the.
enjoy speaking to you. So thank you for being on board. There will be more of CJ in the future, hopefully, right?
Inshallah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What do you
definitely.
mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully, there will
She
be
is the
more of
host now.
CZ.
Permanent. She's gonna be a permanent
There will
permanent
be
fixture.
less of Haikal moving forward.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks. That'll be
Uh,
great.
and also thanks for like entertaining us. It's quite. I know it is past your bedtime for sure. You've stayed up all this while, so thanks for being a part of this.
No,
yeah.
it was fun. I'm always
It's
here to answer any
another hour and
questions.
20 minutes. My word.
I but anyway, thank you, CJ, for coming on.
Yeah, man.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really thankful because CJ is also one of the inspiration for us to, or for me to actually push on to start this podcast with you boys. So I'm really
Right.
thankful that I had all the
Hmm.
support from her. So thank you, my wife, for the support. And
I
if
love
you
you
become
so.
the president, I
President.
will support you as well. So I love you. All right, guys. I think
Can
thank
I
you. Yeah,
give you
CJ. Any last?
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to give
Go for
one
it.
thing. Like, I know I've been talking about the sad things about the US and what I don't like about it. But if I can give you one final parting word,
Yeah.
is what I always carry with me. Like, what I really love about American culture is like, if you want to do something, just do it. And it doesn't matter what
Hmm.
anybody says or thinks about
Mm.
it. It's for your own satisfaction that you actually put in the work and did it. I think that's what drives me every day. And so if you can have a little bit of that in your life, whether it's small things, big things, that's one of the optimistic and great sides of American culture that I really
Ju-
love. But yeah.
just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Just
do
do
it.
it.
Just do it.
What?
So
What's that? What's
is
this? Eh?
Nike.
Oh,
Oh, I
okay.
thought you were doing the
oh
TikTok like that one.
Eh,
Yeah.
Spends a lot of
yes,
time on TikTok though. Yeah.
Drake.
So
but
okay, sorry. I want to add
go,
something.
yeah, go.
Side note. We were talking about the election and stuff and so that. Do you guys watch House of Cards
Yes.
on Netflix? Do you watch CJ?
CJ
Yeah,
watch.
I
I
would.
I
never. I haven't
love
watched.
I binge on House of Cards for like
Is it good?
couple of weeks. I loved it.
Okay.
Tapi it's political drama lah, right?
Yeah lah.
But it's like very intriguing. Like you ask CJ lah. House of Cards was brilliant. What's the actor? My word. But he wasn't around on the
Kevin
last season.
Spacey.
Yeah, I wasn't around on the last season due to some issues lah. But fantastic series lah. I was watching The Diplomat season 2. Do you watch CJ? You should watch if
Yeah,
you
I
haven't.
watch it too. If you ever
Yeah.
want to, a lot of the US political dramas are really based on a lot of things that those politicians go through or they have to do. The West Wing as well, like it's an older one, but that's a
Yeah, West Wing
very
is an old one. Yeah.
good representation.
West
He
Wing
also
lama
cars
sia.
even though it's dramatic.
Lama.
Tu lah.
Lama sia.
House of
That's
Cards
I
is
love
good.
old things.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get CJ back on board again for another
Yeah,
episode.
for sure.
But also we
Let her be the
wanna
host.
we want to get other guests as well. So hopefully maybe we can come up with something else. We've been away for a bit because Maddie is now into fatherhood. So and then
Going
Hafiz
back
is
into fatherhood right
going
after
back
this.
after this. Look at him
Imagine you guys are talking and then you see like
falling and also Hafiz will be going on a trip. So hopefully we can get you another episode soon, if not probably in another 2 weeks, I guess. Maybe we'll see.
yes sir.
We'll see. But yeah, man, football is starting again. I'm excited.
There's a City
football.
Spurs
Great,
game.
so great for me.
Yeah,
I can't wait to
won.
hear about
Somebody won.
all
CJ
of
will
this.
hear about all this because there wasn't any football for a week or two. What else, guys? Any update? Anything else? I think that's about it, right?
Yeah. Let us think through more before we ask CJ more questions in the future. Might be about America, might be about designing, might be about whatever. You seem quite knowledgeable while we always
Or
talk.
maybe something she wants to ask us too, right? The
That's
other way.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That,
Today we
that's
asked
true.
you a lot
That
of
would make
questions.
an interesting episode as well.
Yeah.
I'll have to
that's
think
nice.
about
so-
what to ask.
With that being said, to those that have not followed, please follow us on our social media,
Yeah.
the.odd.set on YouTube. You can search the odd set,
That's right.
TOS. And this is our fifth episode.
Fifth.
Oh, that's a milestone. That's
Yeah.
a handful of episodes.
Yeah, man.
Never thought we'll be here, but we're here.
Yeah. We're going
correct.
across the world, North Carolina,
course.
LA,
World.
Smoking, right? What
Shout
was
out.
it? Seattle.
Shout outs US.
Seattle. Shout
Yeah,
out.
United States.
Shout outs to my in-laws. If my brother-in-law is listening to Zach, thank you. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. We are the Odd Set. I'm Haikal.
My name's Maddie.
Hafiz.
And
Special
CJ.
guest.
Thanks,
all right,
CJ.
guys.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye.